Hi guys, Richard from SharpShootingUK here. Gorgeous day, you could almost imagine spring is around the corner. It was snowing yesterday. Just a little bit of promise. What I've got today is a video, two quick videos, one on the new Citron 40mm scope that's so excited me. And that basically changes the game because it's so good at £2 grand. So I'll do that in a minute. And I'm also going to talk to you about rear support options off the back of my last video, where there was a lot of interest generated by the bag lifter, which is from Europe, and it's a very reasonable price. There's obviously some sandbags, we discussed them. And then this, which is made by a company called Alacritas Innovations. And this is a very cool, lightweight, very stable, good support, rear channeling, super adjustable, doesn't weigh a ton. It sort of replaces a high, medium and low bag, which you don't want to be carrying. So that's what I'll do first. Let me see if I can see myself in the camera here. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Right, so what we've got is a Podlock. Give the Podlock a couple of turns, and this folds in on itself so that it's easily carryable. I bet that doesn't weigh a pound, half a kilo. I mean, it's light. And then you see these rubber, like mountain bike grips, which are going to be available in different colours to suit different people. And this is all highest quality, latest Delrin, and I don't think it is Delrin, but trust me, this has been very carefully developed to be strong and stiff as hell, abrasion resistant. There's a lot of engineering gone into it. So what we do, let me pull out a bit, is we put that down. So imagine we're shooting gun that way, lying down, and this is about the size of a sandbag. Nip that, okay, and it's super solid, not going anywhere. But then from prone, you just crank that a bit, and then you can let the weight of the gun push down and lower the bag till it's really low, and then this will just cant to the angle of your butt, so that you're then getting perfect channeling, straightening of that recoil, which, as you'll see in my last video, separates the men from the boys. Now, what's really delightful in the latest iteration of this, I'm going to try and get right in here. So you see, we've got this rotating head. Well, this section here, okay, has Velcro on it. And these pads that you slide through, which are all slippery and you know, going to produce very little friction. There's a spacer pad here, and you get a few of these, you know, sort of thin, medium and fat. And what that does is changes this distance here. So whatever the width of your bag rider, you can get it just right so that you're in here perfect. And then if you've got a different gun that you use, you can simply change that Velcro spacer out, and then you're in here. And all of that, of course, can be tilted so that you're at just the right angle. The other thing that I like about this is I shoot in the field. We're trying to be bench rest steady, but we've got rocks and all sorts. And what happens with a hard bottomed bag, you know, a leather based bag, is that they can rock about on stones, and then you need to use what I call a pizza crust, which stabilizes the bag, and it's all a bit of a faff, and it's all more weight. This rubber system seems to find a way. Imagine you had some high stones in here. They're not going to be relevant, whereas on a bag they'd be a problem. They'd make the bag rock. You just need a decent contact point in 3 or 4 locations on these rubbers, and the thing stays rock steady. So in the field, it really is very steady on bad ground, which is, you know, lower maintenance, easier to live with than a sandbag. Furthermore, you can go from right down here, which is just a few inches high, up to, it's still quite stable, up at that sort of height, which is a hell of a high sandbag. And you can do all of that from prone, sort of with 1.5 hands. So it's very, very versatile. Now, there's been a tremendous amount of interest in these. I know that the chap who makes them in the UK is very, very diligent and anxious to get them really right. Bench rest shooter, top quality marksman, knows what's needed, very technical guy. You know, him and I are very much of the same cloth when it comes to the finer points of recoil control and what makes the difference between decent shooting and really Premier League shooting in the field. And coming from a bench rest background, he's got a foot in both camps and really knows what it takes. And he's come up with this because he was, like everybody else, tired of having to drag all of this lot up the hill. So to get steady, you find that you need a low bag. Now, this is a Frankenstein because I've glued that base on to make it steady, because I couldn't get the one I wanted with the heavy base. This is probably a better example. This is a Protector model 13BC. Nice bit of kit. Had it years. They're quality things, but they're quite expensive and they're very heavy. And you've got not 1/4 of an inch of height adjust in them. Therefore, if you need to go high, you need a high bag. This is a Seb Rear, industry standard in many ways. Big heavy thing, lovely bit of kit, really expensive, really heavy, lasts a lifetime. But basically, to be a long range precision marksman, until recently, you needed 3 bags in the field. I've discussed how unacceptable a barricade bag is for the really decent shooting. It'll get you on. The barricade guys shoot really well with it, but when you're talking, you know, half-minute shots all the way out in bad conditions, and then bearing in mind the follow-up shot and the natural point of aim and not having to constantly re-find the target, see my last video on fundamentals. Bottom line, they don't offer you the support you need. Another way of skinning the cat, which is useful, is to have a low bag and a mechanical bag lifter. Now, in the UK, these have always been really rather hard to find because you kind of had to get them out of Australia and they're very expensive. But there's a guy in Europe who I will put in the description. Now, excuse this, because what we have here is one for the big Lensy bench rest bags, and I've put some zip ties in to make it fit a smaller bag, but he does do a smaller version for smaller bags. This is the one for the large bags. So standard stuff. You do this up, moves it to the side, which I don't find particularly useful, but it's in there. This is the main one, and that slowly, very steadily, no lash in it, brings your bag up. Okay. And that essentially turns a low bag, when it's done, into a high bag. So given the expense of these bags these days, I mean, to give you an idea, in the UK, if you can find them, these bags are well over £100 each. So to people who are starting out, I say, get a low bag and one of these lifters. I think they're about €150. And that is cheaper and more portable than all 3. So that's another option. Then we've got the Alacritas one, which does all that while being not so sharp, not so shiny, more portable, because that and that, the bag and the base, are quite sharp and quite shiny. You know, taking them hunting is not going to be a good look, and they're really not very portable. Then there's this way, which is, you know, portable, lightweight. So I know you can fold it up, as I showed you earlier, but you can just grab it, just carry it like that. I mean, you could attach that to a rucksack. So very much the ability to take a premium quality rest up into the mountains for no weight penalty. So I understand why there's been so much interest in these. I think they're bloody super. Alacritas Innovations, that link is in my description, and I think they're about 6 weeks away from the next batch production. So You know, in the UK at least, we're used to longer delays than that for stuff. So well, that's quite an exciting product, that. Then we have another way of doing it. This is an ABR. So let's just talk about rear support, okay? Rear support as in bag riding. In my last video, I mentioned the sharp, spiky Picatinny that you get on a tactical rifle. So here we have an RPR in lat mag, and what you've got at the base is a Picatinny for a monopod. Now this has got a little cover on it, and that in a way isn't the worst straight line for a bag that you've ever seen, but still it's not good enough, and most tactical guns are much worse. Now you can see here what I've done in able to ride the bag cleanly and straighten and channel the recoil is I've put on a shooting shed bag rider. And again, with this guy, you can choose the width of the bag rider. You can have 3/8 and 1/2 inch and all sorts. So that sits on the bottom of the gun, in the ears of the bag, and channels back. So that is your standard bag rider add-on to a tactical gun. And the guy who makes these is Shooting Shed in the UK, another superlative engineer who worries about the thous so you don't have to. So that's one way of doing it. And every tactical rifle I own, I would immediately put that on. It's just completely fundamental. Now let's see if I can put this camera down and show you another way of doing it. What we got here? Zoom out a bit. Okay, there we go. So what we have here is a ABR. So this is specific to the Ruger precision rifle. There is a generic one that goes on a Picatinny, and there are lots of gun-specific models, right from, you know, Steyr 50 cals to, you know, RPRs, AIs, you know, they've got most things covered. So what happens here is you have this in a bag. Let me put it in a bag for you. Let's say the bag is non-adjustable. So we'll use our low bag here. That's in your ears, okay? And then when you want to adjust your height from prone, you just cam this with your fingers. That's down. This is, I wish I could convey the quality. This is Rolex quality gearing. This is just absolutely lovely, big bearings. And that gently cams it up like the mechanical bag lifter does, but obviously this is on the gun. And up you go, down you go, up you go, down you go. It's beautiful engineering. You can choose the angle of the rider, the length, all sorts. The problem with this system is that you're looking at a couple of $100 per rifle, because this is basically just on this gun. So then I get my next gun out, and you know, I need a whole nother one. Whereas if you use a mechanical bag lifter, that obviously works on all of your guns, as does the Alacritas system. Here you buy one of them, and obviously it does all of your guns. But there's no doubt that the ABR system is a bit lovely quality wise, and I think you could arrange a piece of Picatinny on the butt, particularly if you've got tactical rifles with chassis with these Picatinny sections on, and then you might be able to use one ABR bag rider on more than one gun. But those primarily are your main options, guys. I won't bang on about the importance of rear channeling and rear support, because I've just done a video on that. But I wanted to just drill down a bit deeper on the options, so that one, you can see this Alacritas. These are about £250, that neck of the woods. They may end up creeping up sort of 279, 280, but it is a real premium piece of kit quality wise, and they're 250-ish, and that's per gun. Normal bag rider like I've put on the RPRs about 120, 110 maybe. Bags are a fortune each, so if you're starting out, that's not what I'd recommend. When they were 70 quid, I used to say buy a low, medium and a high and off you go. But now they're so much harder to get and more expensive that 3 separate bags is becoming not only the most cumbersome way to do it and the heaviest, but really rather expensive as well. So either, in my opinion, you want a low bag and a lifter, or you want one of these, rather than the other options, which are either heavier or more expensive. But, you know, take your pick. There's loads of good options there. But I hope you find this useful. Make no mistake, guys, if you're still resting on a sandbag or a sock full of rice, that is where the improvement in your long-range precision is going to be found. Get your SD down. That'll help. Concentrate on your reloading. And get that rear support channeled so you have natural point of aim, gun recoils cleanly, any propensity to shake its head through unsupported rear is reduced, recoil is channeled, and the gun stays on target without you, so that you can roll away, do what you need to do, come back to the gun, and you're on target. All right, so that is that. Alacritas is the name you're looking for there. That is ABR, adjustablebagrider.com. Shooting Shed in the UK for bag riders, for chassis guns. That, I think they're called. And then these are model protector bags. Well, that's model protector, or protector model, whichever way around it is. That's a Seb rear. Okay. So I hope that just helps give you some more options. Now I'm going to do a video on this Citron that is so ridiculously good. It just changes everything. Cheers, guys.